I don't know if there are two coaches in the country that need a win as badly as Billy Napier and Hugh Freeze. Under the radar important game this week. Arkansas, Auburn, I'll make my pick in a moment. But Billy Napier should have been fired already, in my view. I don't know what he's still doing there as the Florida head coach other than, I don't know, lowering the buyout by a few $1,000s a day. I don't really know. They go to Starksville this week. To Starkville, excuse me. I had an extra S in there, and I did not mean to. I know better than that. Florida at Mississippi State. If Florida, I tell you what, if you lose to Mississippi State, they got boat raced on that very field by Toledo last week. I don't even know what Brandon Olson's going to do. He's a Toledo grad. He's a Florida fan. And boy, by the transitive property, Toledo's better than Florida. That wouldn't be a great thing for the Gators. Billy Napier better win this football game. I've already picked Florida twice this year, and I'm 0-2. Let's make it 0-3. Why don't we? I will take the Gators 27-23 over Mississippi State. I think the Bulldogs can cover that number. Kentucky very nearly had the biggest upset in college football last week, but they didn't. They host Ohio. I hope Mark Stoops doesn't lose that football game. Are they going to be able to pass the football? Brock Vandegrift is, let's just say, off to a slow start. They need to jumpstart things. I think Kentucky, though, with their physicality, can just overwhelm Ohio in this one. 38-17, I think they beat the Bobcats. UCLA, LSU, I already talked about that game. I mean, this is LSU all the way. I don't know if UCLA is going to score 10 points. I really don't. I think Blake Baker and company could start cooking and just blast the Bruins into oblivion. Indiana did it last week in Los Angeles. What do you think LSU is going to do as they try to make a statement and keep themselves in the college football playoff fold? Okay, let's get to an interesting game now, because Arkansas-Auburn is more than just a little interesting. It is utterly fascinating. So you have one of the hottest seats in all of college football in Sam Pittman on one sideline. On the other sideline, you have an uncomfortable seat, not a hot one, an uncomfortable one in Hugh Freeze. This is at home. Auburn less than a field goal favorite. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh, Raggy. That's not good. Because that kind of means, especially in college football, Vegas thinks there's a real chance that Arkansas goes in and wins this game. Can you imagine if Hugh Freeze, after losing to Cal, after losing to that nobody cares about the program, what is this Cal football team who plays Florida State this week? I think they go to 4-0, could host College Game Day next week when Miami comes to town. After losing to that team, they come back and get a big win a week ago against an opponent that nobody cares about, and now they start SEC play. Boy, Oklahoma's coming to town in the not-too-distant future. Auburn's schedule, allow me to remind you of Auburn's schedule. Arkansas this week, Oklahoma next week, at Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky. Oh, boy. You better win this football game if you are Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. I mean, you've got to do it. It's not that he goes on the hot seat if he loses. It's that it gets more uncomfortable. Like somebody put some fire ants under there, and he's like, ow, ow, hey, what's happening here? If you lose twice at home in the first 4 games of the season to Cal and Arkansas, hot seat, and the Bears out of the ACC, classic ACC power, oh boy. Hugh Freeze better win that football game. I'll take Auburn because they're at home. That feels like a coin flip game to me. I can't wait to watch. Cannot wait to watch Arkansas and Auburn and such. I'll take the Tigers to win 24-20. Vanderbilt goes to Missouri. Oh, Vanderbilt. Did you know that last week Vanderbilted as hard as they've ever Vanderbilted? They had the opportunity, along with Florida State, to be the only teams to have locked in the result on their preseason win total on FanDuel by week 3. Florida State goes 0-3, and they go under 9.5 wins. And then Vanderbilt was a 2.5 win total team as a 10.5 point road favorite at Georgia State, and they lose. Oh boy. Is Clark Lee going to have his seat cook up? Well, they're going to Missouri this week as a 20-point dog. I don't know what the vibes are like inside that Commodore locker room. I don't know that I love it. I like the Tigers in this one. 30-17. I'll take a Vanderbilt cover. Why not? Why not? Tennessee, Oklahoma. Love this game. Talked about it earlier this week. I've got the Vols winning. I think they cover as well. 34-23. I think Tennessee beats Oklahoma. That's One of the best games of the entire weekend. Bowling Green goes to Texas A&M. No issue here for the Aggies, who are ranked inside the top 25 for reasons that nobody can figure it out. I legitimately don't know what's happening here. Texas A&M shouldn't be ranked. Not yet. They should need to stack up a couple more impressive wins. They should blow Bowling Green into oblivion. But why don't you ask Penn State how easy it is to beat Bowling Green? I mean, Penn State should have been able to do it on paper. Guess what? They just didn't. I really don't know why. Akron goes to South Carolina. Look, Akron's not a good football team. They have been a rough program the last couple of years. South Carolina, they get to go back into the cozy confines of Williams-Brice Stadium. That's great. What's not great is after South Carolina wins this game, probably by a lot, they're going to be thinking about what could have been. And here's the question for South Carolina that'll be indicative of how the rest of their season will go. Are they going to come out in, woe is us, we're your, can't believe we didn't do it? Or is it, we should have won that football game. We got to play a level that allows us to build towards another upset. Remember, if you go back to the preseason when I made my game-by-game schedule predictions, I said in a couple weeks, they're going to upset Ole Miss. I'm just telling you right now, I haven't come off of that prediction yet. Not yet. I like Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss a lot. LSU went in there and should have lost the football game. Some questionable calls in that one that went against the Gamecocks, and they went in favor of the Tigers, and LSU squeaked it out. But what does South Carolina do? That's an interesting question here. That spread is up around 28. I don't think South Carolina is going to cover. I'll take 33-10. I don't think they are on upset alert here. I just don't think they're going to cover that number. I think they're going to come out a little sluggish, so they'll stop them from doing that. They'll have a touchdown drive that turns into a field goal because of a penalty, something like that. I don't think they quite cover 27.5. Ole Miss should cover, though. They're favored by 36.5 against Georgia Southern. And Ole Miss, let's just say, when they play bad football teams, as they have each of the first 3 weeks of the season, Furman, Middle Tennessee, and Wake Forest, who got beat so badly that Wake Forest decided, hey, we don't want to play Ole Miss anymore. Look, we'll buy you out of that game, and we're going to play Oregon State instead. Which, look, it has some longer-term implications, perhaps, that Wake Forest decided, yeah, let's go play Oregon State. It's a great get for the Beavs to have a Power 4 opponent next year and then one other year no later than 2029. But that's what Ole Miss does to teams that are, not quite as good. Now, Georgia Southern, that's Clay Helton's spot. Not Todd Helton, but Clay Helton. Once upon a time, I referred to that head coach as Todd Helton. I didn't even catch myself in the moment. You know what? Nobody's perfect. But I am a fool if I don't learn from my mistakes, so here I am. Clay Helton, head coach. Georgia Southern's pretty good. Maybe they hang with Ole Miss, but I love Ole Miss's roster. I love Ole Miss's team, and this is what Ole Miss does. Early in the season, they're not playing anybody. They're just cruising on through and blasting everybody into oblivion. Give me the Rebels, and give me them big 49-10. UL Monroe goes to Texas. Is this the most interesting 44.5 point spread football game you've ever seen? Is it? It probably is. Because who's playing quarterback for the Texas Longhorns? Oh, that's right. It's Arch Manning. Is he the most discussed backup quarterback of all time? Probably. Well, we're going to get to see him start for a full game against nobody that's good. And boy, he looked good against UTSA. So give me the Longhorns. Give me the Longhorns big. Do they cover a 44.5? I don't know. You do whatever you want with that. If you're the sort of sicko betting Texas UL Monroe, good for you. You're a diehard college football fan. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.